Today is a very big day, and not just because it's my first day at Apple. Just kidding, this is a Goodwill shirt. For more than a week, we have been methodically prepping all the subfloors. This has been pulling out staples, pulling out nails, sanding everything down, and this is really important for a quality installation of LVP. So, after all of that time and what felt like months of sanding, it is the day that we're gonna start leveling floors. So this house was built in the 80s, and so it's probably had 3 or 4 rounds of carpet installations. And with every one of those, the installers put more staples into the floor to hold down the foam that goes under the carpet. And before we can put down the LVP, we have to pull out every one of those staples that we can find, because the raised ones will create dimples in the LVP, and even ones that aren't raised could potentially push out of the subfloor over time, causing those same issues in the LVP.
So what I've been doing is screwing in where all the USB boards connect over the joists, because the old style of house construction was just doing nails, which tend to work their way out over time and aren't as strong as a screw.
So I've got a really bad creak right here, and just drilling along the seams didn't seem to fix it. It sounds like the creak is still coming from in the middle, so we're gonna draw some lines at 16-inch intervals and then drill into those and hopefully stop the creak. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Screwed it. And what I'm doing now is sanding the seams between each of the subfloor panels. So I think when this house is getting built, it probably got exposed to some moisture, before the roof went on, and the subfloor edges are kind of raised up just a little bit. So I've got to sand those down so again, we don't see undulations in the LVP. It's been another long day of floor prep, and now I'm just sitting out in the backyard watching these ants, and it is the coolest thing. They are bringing up pine needles from underground, just like they would normally grains of sand, and building an anthill out of pine needles. After a couple days of painfully slow progress with the orbital sander, we upgraded to a belt sander. Coupled with 36 grit sandpaper, this was a much better tool for the job. It takes up so much wood at once that we actually had to be pretty careful to not overdo it. This was working great for us until we managed to suck up the vacuum's power cable into the sander, and we had to take apart the whole sander in order to get that out, which was a real drag. Sometimes when you're working on a project that just seems to be dragging on forever, it's nice to do something a little more immediately satisfying, like power washing. We're gonna start leveling the floors. And we're doing this with 2 different products. One is a floor patch that we're using for smaller areas, and then the other product is LevelQuik, which is kind of like a really liquidy cement that is self-leveling to some extent. So you do have to push it around a little bit, but in general, it sort of finds its own level. This is almost a 40-year-old house. There are depressions where the subfloor is just kind of like sunken a little bit over time. Anything more than about 1/8 of an inch needs to be brought up, and the whole house doesn't have to be level, but it needs to be flat. So that's what we're trying to accomplish today with the LevelQuik. It's gonna be a new experience. We've never used this before, and from what we've seen, we've watched a lot of YouTube videos, it can go very wrong, but it also doesn't seem that complicated. Before we can put the LevelQuik down though, you have to prime the floors. And this primer just helps ensure that the LevelQuik sticks to the floor and doesn't want to flake up and crack down the road. We did that yesterday, so that had time to cure. It takes up to 2 hours depending how hot and dry it is. The hotter and drier the better. So we probably could have gotten away with letting it cure for just about an hour here, but we just went ahead and got it done the day before so we could come in today and start the LevelQuik. The other thing that we have to do is make sure that any gaps are all patched up. Otherwise, the LevelQuik will just flow through that crack because it's self-leveling and it's gonna find the lowest point. And we also did some expanding foam between the wall and the floor wherever we're possibly gonna have LevelQuik up against the walls. Again, that'll help ensure that the LevelQuik doesn't get down there between the subfloor and the wall, because it would just all disappear down there. About to make some LevelQuik. We're gonna do half a bag to start with, and then we got this corded electric drill to mix it.
How do we learn to do this?
YouTube. Thanks, Jeff. I can go ahead and mix up that second bucket. Would you agree we're gonna need more?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, what's going on right there? Is there a hole?
Looks like it.
All right, let me get like a paper towel or something and try to plug it. Well, I'm excited to say that we are finished with the entire house, and we did, I think, about 10 bags of LevelQuik. We had to run down to Ace actually and get some more. We definitely learned some things as we were going. One good decision that we made was to start in a less obvious area before moving on to the rest of the house. So the first thing we did was the master closet, and then we moved on to one of the back bedrooms that will mostly be taken up by a bed. And it's kind of funny, you can go back and look at those, and there's you know, a little bit more texturing to the LevelQuik than what we finished out here in this room behind me, the great room in the kitchen area. It's definitely easiest to do it when you're going wall to wall. The hallway section that we did is, I mean, it is literally as smooth as glass. Like, it's pretty wild how smooth this stuff gets, really on its own. The other thing is to really make sure that you patch all the holes in your floor. We had a few little spots that we had missed, and you know, it's just the size of a nail, and you could see the LevelQuik just dripping right through there, and it would just keep going until we plugged it. So check for all your holes. Not a big deal if you miss one or two. You can just stick a little bit of toilet paper or paper towel, whatever you have on hand in there, and seal it up.
I think in hindsight, we would have quick leveled the whole floor, because I think we spent, what was it, 2 weeks pulling staples, sanding, leveling. I mean, I kid you not, we must have pulled over 1,000 staples. And so if you do that quick level on the floor, you don't have to do any of that. You don't have to sand, you don't have to pull staples or pull nails. Before this experience, I literally thought you just pulled up carpet and laid down LVP.
To sum it all up, I would say this project was actually a lot easier than we anticipated. This was something that we were kind of biting our nails over, and we were a little hesitant and nervous to get started, but once we got the hang of it, it actually went really easily, and it really just comes down to having the right tools and making sure that you work quickly. That's the biggest thing. Having 3 people here really helped a lot. One person was able to be fanning and working the edges at all times before those dried out and hardened up, and another 2 people were either able to be pouring and leveling and pushing the stuff around, or mixing up a new bucket. If you try to put new LevelQuik onto partially cured LevelQuik, it's not gonna bond properly, and so you really gotta be just maintaining that wet edge and going until you're ready to stop and then fan out the edge there. I think anybody with a little bit of DIY ability could tackle this project, and it's really not as hard as we expected it to be, or some of the YouTube videos made it out to be. There were some horror videos that we watched where people just totally screwed up their floor with it. But if you do a little bit of research beforehand and understand how to do it, I really think just about anybody can do it. When we come back to you next week, we're gonna be starting with paint, and we're also gonna be building out a really cool fireplace wall. It's gonna be an awesome wall with a big electric fireplace, big TV, sound bar, all of that, and also some cool lighting effects. So stay tuned for that. That'll be coming up next week. We'll show you how we're building it, how we designed it, and hopefully make some good progress on that. Thanks so much for joining us for this video, and we'll see you next time.